Olivia arrived at Hangar 7 15 minutes early the next morning. The massive bay doors were sealed, but a small side entrance slid open as she approached. Inside, the lights were dimmed. A sleek black ship sat in the center of the hangar, unlike any vessel Olivia had ever seen. It was roughly the size of a standard scout ship, but with a strange angular shape that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. No Alliance markings were visible on its hull. "Beautiful, isn't she?" a voice said from behind. Olivia turned to see Admiral Porter walking toward her, followed by 3 other people. The Admiral gestured to the ship. "The Spectre. Our newest stealth vessel. First of her kind." Olivia recognized Zara Knight, looking surprised to see her. Next to Zara stood a tall man with the rigid posture of a career officer. The 4th person was Doug Rivera from the dining hall, who gave her a small wave. "Your team," Admiral Porter said. "Lieutenant Ben Cole, tactical specialist." The tall man nodded stiffly. "Cadet Zara Knight, navigation." Zara raised an eyebrow but said nothing. "And Cadet Doug Rivera, engineering." "Sir?" Lieutenant Cole spoke. "With respect, I was told this mission required experienced personnel. Cadet Mason has the lowest survival rating in her class." "That's precisely why she's here," Porter replied. "This mission needs someone who thinks differently." She turned to address the group. "The Spectre can evade detection by all known Alliance and non-Alliance sensors. You will enter the Krell Expanse, locate the source of the Intrepid signal, and gather reconnaissance data only. No rescue attempts, no engagement with unknown entities. Get in, get information, get out. Questions?" Lieutenant Cole raised his hand. "Mission duration?" 2 weeks maximum. If you're not back by then, we'll assume you're lost." Zara frowned. "What about the no-entry zone regulations?" "Officially, this mission doesn't exist," Porter said. "If you're caught, the Alliance will deny any knowledge of your actions." Doug looked pale. "What's our survival probability?" The Admiral's face remained expressionless. 7%. Olivia watched her teammates' reactions. Ben's jaw tightened. Zara closed her eyes briefly. Doug swallowed hard. "Departure in 30 minutes, Porter said. "I'll leave you to prepare." As the Admiral walked away, Lieutenant Cole turned to the team. "Let's be clear. I'm in command of this mission. You follow my orders without question. Understood?" Everyone nodded. "Good. Rivera, check the engine systems. Knight, familiarize yourself with the navigation controls. Mason, stow the supplies." He pointed to several crates near the wall. "I'll review the mission parameters." As they dispersed to their tasks, Zara fell into step beside Olivia. "You knew about this," she accused in a low voice. "I found out yesterday, same as you," Olivia replied as she began loading supplies onto a cart. "You know we're probably not coming back from this, right?" Zara said. "The Krell Expanse isn't just dangerous, it's impossible. 18 ships, all lost." Olivia paused. "My uncle's ship is in there. If there's any chance he's alive." Zara shook her head but helped load the supplies. Soon they were on board the Spectre. The interior was cramped but efficient. The bridge had 4 stations arranged in a semicircle. Doug whistled as he examined the engine controls. "This technology is advanced," he said. "Some of it doesn't even look like Alliance design." "Focus, Rivera," Lieutenant Cole said sharply. "Knight, plot a course to the edge of the Expanse. Mason, secure all supplies and then take the communications station." "Yes, sir," they replied in unison. 20 minutes later, they received clearance to depart under the cover story of a routine training exercise. The Spectre slipped out of the hangar silently, its black hull blending into the darkness of space. Once they cleared Alliance space, Lieutenant Cole activated the stealth systems. The ship vibrated slightly, then settled. "We're now invisible to all standard sensors," he announced. "Knight, set course for the Krell Expanse, maximum speed." "Yes, sir," Zara replied, her fingers dancing across the control panel. "ETA to the edge of the Expanse, 6 hours, 22 minutes. Olivia sat at the communication station studying the signal from the Intrepid. It was weak, but consistent. A standard Alliance emergency beacon programmed to repeat 3 simple, Pulses at regular intervals. Mason, Lieutenant Cole said, your file says you specialized in communication patterns at the academy. Yes, sir, Olivia replied. I scored top of my class in signal analysis. Good. See if you can clean up that signal. Look for any embedded messages. For the next few hours, Olivia worked on the signal while the others prepared for their entry into the expanse. As they approached the boundary, marked on their charts as a hazy line between known space and the unknown, Lieutenant Cole called them together. Final systems check, he ordered. Rivera, engines at 98%, stealth systems functioning normally, Doug reported. Knight, navigation ready, Zara said. But I should warn you that once we enter the expanse, standard navigation may become unreliable. Mason, communications ready, Olivia said. I've cleaned up the signal and confirmed it's definitely from the Intrepid. No embedded messages detected. Ben nodded. Everyone to your stations. We cross in 3 minutes. As they took their places, Olivia noticed Doug's hands trembling slightly as he adjusted his controls. Scared? She asked quietly. Terrified, he admitted. But also excited. No one's ever gone into the expanse and returned with data. If we make it back, we'll make history, Olivia finished for him. Entering the expanse in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Zara counted down. The stars outside the viewport seemed to ripple, then shift. A strange shimmer passed over the ship like water flowing across the hull. Status report, Lieutenant Cole barked. Engine power fluctuating but stable, Doug reported. Navigation compromised, Zara said, frowning at her readings. Standard star mapping is offline. Switching to alternative systems. Communications. Experiencing interference, Olivia added. Signal strength from the Intrepid holding steady, but direction is shifting. Lieutenant Cole studied the main display. This isn't natural, he muttered. The ship continued deeper into the expanse. Outside, space itself seemed different. Colors were more vivid, stars pulsed with strange rhythms, and occasionally they saw flashes of light that didn't match any known phenomena. On the third day, Zara called them to the bridge. Look at this, she said, pointing to her scanner. These energy patterns, they're repeating. Almost like what? Olivia asked. Like a web, Ben finished studying the display. We're flying through a cosmic spider web. Doug joined them, his face grim. And spider webs catch prey. The ship suddenly lurched, alarms blaring. Doug rushed back to his station. Energy surge, he shouted. Something scanning us. Evasive maneuvers, Ben ordered. Zara worked the controls, but the ship responded sluggishly. It's like we're being pulled toward something. The signal from the Intrepid just got stronger, Olivia reported. It's coming from directly ahead now. The view screen showed only darkness, but as they watched, lights began to appear. Dozens, then hundreds of them. As the Spectre moved closer, the lights resolved into shapes. Ships. A vast field of ships suspended in space, perfectly preserved. Alliance vessels. Alien craft of unknown design. And in the center, clearly visible now, the USS Intrepid. My God, Olivia whispered. It's a graveyard. Lieutenant Cole's voice was tense but controlled. Life signs? Olivia checked her readings. Inconclusive, but the ships appear to have maintained environments. They're not dead hulks. They're being preserved. By what? Doug asked, his voice barely audible. No one had an answer. Olivia Mason stood at attention in the massive amphitheater of the Galactic Alliance Academy. Bright lights shone down from the ceiling, making the polished floor gleam beneath her boots. She tried not to fidget as Commander Vraxtil moved slowly down the line of cadets, his insect-like body towering over even the tallest students. This was the day every first-year cadet dreaded, Combat Survival Assessment Day. The Academy's advanced AI system had processed months of training data to calculate each cadet's survival odds in real combat situations. These numbers would follow them throughout their careers. Olivia was the only human in her class of 30. The other cadets came from across the galaxy, some with 4 arms, others with scaly skin or feathers, a few that looked almost human except for strange eyes or unusual skin colors. Humans were still new to the Galactic Alliance, and many species viewed them as primitive or weak. Cadet Zara Knight, Commander Vraxtil announced, his voice clicking through his mandibles. Survival probability, 68%. Next to Olivia, Zara nodded sharply. As a human-Altarian hybrid, Zara had enhanced reflexes and spatial awareness that pure humans lacked. She had made it clear during their first month as reluctant roommates that she wanted nothing to do with the human charity case. The commander continued down the line. Most cadets received scores between 40 and 70%. A few exceptional students scored in the 80s. With each announcement, Olivia felt her stomach tighten. She had worked twice as hard as anyone else in her class, staying up late to study alien combat techniques, spending extra hours in the gym to build her strength. Finally, Commander Vraxtil stood before her. His compound eyes reflected her image back at her. A young woman with short brown hair, determined eyes, and a face that tried not to show fear. Cadet Olivia Mason, he said, pausing to look at his data pad. Survival probability. Another pause. Olivia held her breath. 2%. A wave of chittering laughter swept through the room. Someone behind her made a choking sound that might have been the Draxian equivalent of a snort. Even Zara shifted uncomfortably beside her. 2%. The lowest in her class, possibly the lowest in Academy history. Commander Vraxtil was already moving to the next cadet when Olivia raised her hand. The action was so unexpected that the room fell silent. "Yes, Cadet Mason?" the commander asked, his head tilting in what might have been curiosity or annoyance. Olivia kept her voice steady. "Sir, I was wondering what I'm supposed to do with the other 98%. The silence deepened. Commander Vraxtil's antennae twitched. "Explain your query, Cadet," he demanded. "Well, sir," Olivia said, standing straighter. "If only 2% of my capacity is needed for survival, that leaves 98% available to complete the mission, assist my teammates, and achieve objectives. Seems like an advantage to me." The commander stared at her. Olivia could feel hundreds of alien eyes boring into her. Her face felt hot, but she didn't look away. "That is not how probability functions, Cadet Mason," Commander Vraxtil finally said. "Your statistical likelihood of survival—" "With respect, sir," Olivia interrupted, knowing she was breaking protocol but unable to stop herself. "Humans have a long history of beating statistical odds. Our entire civilization developed on a planet where we were far from the strongest or fastest species. We survived because we refused to accept limitations." For several long seconds, Commander Vraxtil said nothing. Then he made a sound that might have been a sigh through his breathing spiracles. "Your species' psychological peculiarities are not my concern, Cadet. 2% remains your official assessment." He moved on. The ceremony continued, but whispers followed Olivia for the rest of the day. That evening, she sat alone in the dining hall. The food, a protein cube designed to be digestible by most humanoid species, tasted like cardboard. She poked at it with her fork, trying to ignore the stares and whispers. "That seat taken?" Olivia looked up to see Doug Rivera, a cheerful, human cadet from her engineering class. Without waiting for an answer, he dropped his tray on the table and sat down. "Everyone's talking about what you said to Commander Bugface," Doug said, grinning as he picked up his fork. "You've got guts, Mason." "Or a death wish," Olivia muttered. "Nah, just a different perspective." Doug took a bite of his food cube and made a face. "Man, I would kill for a burger right now." Despite herself, Olivia smiled. "I'd settle for a salad that doesn't glow in the dark." They both laughed, and for a moment, Olivia felt less alone. Later that night, as she entered her dorm room, she found Zara sitting on her bed, arms crossed. "That was either the bravest or stupidest thing I've ever seen," Zara said without preamble. Olivia sighed as she dropped her bag on the floor. "Probably a little of both." To her surprise, Zara's lips curved into something resembling a smile. "Maybe humans aren't as boring as I thought." Before Olivia could respond, her comm device beeped. A message scrolled across the screen. Report to Admiral Porter's office, 800 tomorrow. Zara leaned over to read the message and whistled. Admiral Porter, the head of Special Operations? What did you do? I have no idea, Olivia said honestly. Students were almost never summoned by admirals. This was either very good or very bad. She couldn't sleep that night. Her mind raced with possibilities. Was she being kicked out for challenging Commander Vraxtil? Was this about her uncle Nathan, missing for 3 years after his exploration? Vessel disappeared in the mysterious Krell expanse? At precisely 0800 the next morning, Olivia stood outside Admiral Porter's office. The door slid open silently. Admiral Lynn Porter was a legend, the first human to reach admiral rank in the Galactic Alliance fleet. Her steel-gray hair was pulled back in a severe bun, and her eyes missed nothing as she gestured for Olivia to sit. Cadet Mason, she said without preamble. What do you know about the Krell expanse? Olivia blinked, surprised by the question. It's an unmapped region beyond the Cygnus Arm, ma'am. 18 exploration vessels lost in the last 60 standard years. She hesitated, then added, including the USS Intrepid. My uncle's ship? Admiral Porter nodded, her expression unreadable. 3 days ago we received a signal from within the expanse. It matches the Intrepid's emergency beacon. Olivia's heart jumped. My uncle might be alive. Unknown. The Admiral activated a holographic display showing a faint pulsing signal. The Alliance Council has officially designated the expanse as a no-entry zone following the losses, but... She leaned forward, lowering her voice. I'm assembling a small reconnaissance team to investigate. Off the record. Why tell me this, ma'am? Olivia asked, though she already suspected the answer. Because I need someone on that team who thinks differently. Someone who looks at a 2% survival probability and immediately starts calculating what to do with the remaining 98%. Admiral Porter's eyes were intense. The mission's official success probability is 7%. Does that frighten you, Cadet? Olivia felt a smile spread across her face. No, ma'am. That leaves 93% for everything else. For the first time, Admiral Porter smiled back. Report to Hangar 7 at 600 tomorrow. Pack light. Tell no one. As Olivia left the office, she felt strangely calm. 2% or 7%, the numbers didn't matter. What mattered was what you did with whatever percentage you had left. Sometimes that was enough to change everything. The Spectre drifted closer to the field of suspended ships. No one on the bridge spoke for several minutes. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. Dozens of vessels hanging motionless in space, bathed in a soft blue glow. Scan the Intrepid. Lieutenant Cole finally ordered, breaking the silence. Olivia's fingers moved across her console. Hull intact. Internal environment still functioning. Power signatures at 40%, enough to maintain life support. Any signs of what's holding these ships? Ben asked. Doug studied his readings. Some kind of energy field I've never seen before. It's not Alliance technology or any other known system. Zara looked troubled. The web pattern is stronger here. These energy lines connect all the ships to something deeper in the expanse. Lieutenant Cole frowned. Our orders are reconnaissance only. We report back what we found. But my uncle could be alive in there, Olivia said, pointing at the Intrepid. All of them could be alive. We don't know that, Ben replied firmly. We don't know they're not, Olivia countered. The mission was to determine if there were survivors. We can't do that from here. Ben's jaw tightened. Knight, can we safely approach the Intrepid without being caught in whatever's holding these ships? Zara studied her controls. Maybe. Our stealth systems are still working, though not at full capacity. If we move very slowly, do it, Ben ordered after a moment's consideration. Minimal power. Rivera, be ready to pull us out at the first sign of trouble. The Spectre inched forward, slipping between the suspended vessels. Up close, the ships were eerily pristine. No damage, no signs of battle or catastrophic failure. They simply hung, in space as if frozen in time. When they reached the Intrepid, Zara skillfully maneuvered the Spectre alongside the larger exploration vessel. a docking port aligned with their airlock. Scans show the Intrepid's interior is pressurized with breathable atmosphere, Doug reported. I'll take a boarding party, Ben decided. Mason, you're with me. Knight Rivera, maintain position and be ready for immediate extraction. Zara nodded. Be careful. Whatever preserved these ships might still be active. Olivia and Ben suited up. Their environmental suits were thin but protective, designed for short excursions. Ben checked their weapons, standard pulse pistols, before leading the way into the airlock. Stay close, he instructed. We look around, gather data, and leave. No heroics. Yes, sir, Olivia replied, though her mind was racing with thoughts of her uncle. The airlock cycled and they stepped onto the Intrepid. Emergency lighting cast a dim glow through the corridors. The air was stale but breathable. Life support is still functioning, Ben noted, checking his scanner. But I'm not detecting any movement. They moved carefully through the ship, documenting everything with their suit cameras. In the mess hall, they found their first clue. Tables set with food trays, untouched but not decayed. It's like everyone just vanished in the middle of a meal, Olivia whispered. Ben frowned. Not quite. Look. He pointed to the wall. Strange symbols had been carved into the metal, geometric patterns and lines that didn't match any known Alliance language. Some appeared to have been made with tools, others seemed burned or melted into the surface. Someone was trying to communicate, Olivia said, capturing images of the symbols. As they continued through the ship, they found more symbols, in corridors, on doors, even on the floor. Some were small and precise, others large and hurriedly made. These were created by human hands, Ben observed, examining a set of marks that appeared to have been scratched with a knife. A soft humming sound grew louder as they approached the bridge. The door was sealed, but Ben overrode the lock with his command codes. It slid open slowly. The bridge was illuminated by the same blue glow that surrounded the ship externally. And there, at their stations, sat the crew, motionless, but seemingly intact. Captain Nathan Mason, Olivia's uncle, sat in the command chair. His eyes were open, staring forward. Next to him, his first officer and the bridge crew remained at their posts. None showed any sign of injury or distress. They simply didn't move. Uncle Nathan, Olivia whispered, approaching slowly. Ben grabbed her arm. Careful. We don't know what state they're in. Olivia pulled away and moved closer to her uncle. He's breathing. Very slowly, but he's breathing. She leaned closer, studying his face. To her shock, his eyes shifted slightly, focusing on her. His lips moved, barely parting to form a single word. Run. At that moment, the ship trembled. The blue glow intensified. We need to leave, Ben said urgently. Now. I can't leave them like this, Olivia protested. There's nothing we can do for them yet, Ben insisted. But I need to get the data back to the Alliance. That's our mission. Olivia hesitated, then darted to the captain's console. Cover. Me for 30 seconds. Her fingers flew across the interface, quickly downloading the ship's logs and records. The humming grew louder. Through the viewport, massive shadows moved in the darkness beyond the ship graveyard. Ancient vessels, the size of small moons awakening from dormancy. Mason, Ben shouted. Time's up. Olivia finished the download and looked one last time at her uncle. I'll come back for you, she promised. Then she turned and ran after Ben. They raced back through the corridors toward the airlock. The entire ship was vibrating now, the blue glow pulsing brighter. Knight, prepare for immediate departure, Ben shouted into his communicator. Something's happening out here, Zara's voice crackled back. Massive energy signatures activating all around us. They reached the airlock just as the ship lurched violently. The connection with the Spectre strained but held long enough for them to scramble through. Go! Ben yelled as soon as they were aboard. Doug didn't need to be told twice. The Spectre detached and pulled away, engines straining. On the view screen, they watched in awe as the massive shadow ships moved into view. Ancient vessels with designs unlike anything in Alliance records. Their surfaces were covered with the same symbols they had found etched inside the Intrepid. The Krell, Olivia breathed. They're not a region. They're a species. Whatever they are, they've noticed us, Zara reported grimly. Multiple energy signatures locking onto our position. Evasive pattern Delta, Ben ordered. Full power to engines and stealth systems. The Spectre shot forward, zigzagging through the field of suspended ships. Behind them, beams of strange energy, not weapons but some kind of distortion in reality itself, reached out from the ancient vessels. They're trying to catch us in the same field that's holding the other ships. Doug shouted over the engine. Noise. Can we make it to the edge of the expanse? Ben asked. Zara checked her readings. Maybe, if we push the engines beyond safety limits. Do it, Ben commanded. As the ship accelerated, Olivia worked frantically at her console, analyzing the data she'd stolen from the Intrepid. I think I understand, she said suddenly. The logs, the symbols, they're not random. The Krell weren't attacking the ships. They were preserving them, studying them. Study this, Doug muttered as he pushed the engines harder. A massive distortion beam nearly caught them, missing by meters. The Spectre shuddered from the near miss. One more jump and we'll clear the boundary, Zara announced, her hand steady despite the danger. Everyone hold on, Ben ordered. The Spectre surged, forward engines screaming in protest. Behind them, the ancient vessels gave chase. But as the small ship crossed the invisible boundary of the expanse, the pursuers slowed and then stopped, as if unable or unwilling to cross. They had escaped, carrying with them the first real information about what had happened to 18 missing ships, and the first clue to saving the people still trapped inside. The journey back to Alliance space was tense. The Spectre's engines had been pushed beyond their limits during the escape, and now several systems were showing damage. Doug worked tirelessly in the engine room, making repairs with limited supplies. Olivia barely slept. Instead, she focused on analyzing the data from the Intrepid. The ship's logs told a strange story. Captain Nathan Mason had led his crew into the expanse on a standard exploration mission. Their first few days were uneventful. Then they detected unusual energy readings and changed course to investigate. The final log entry was Captain Mason's voice, sounding strained but determined. We've been caught in some kind of energy web. Communications are down. Multiple unknown. Vessels approaching. They don't appear hostile, but they're unlike anything in Alliance records. If anyone finds this log, we are still alive. After that, nothing, until the emergency beacon activated 3 years later. The symbols Olivia had photographed were equally puzzling. She spent hours comparing them to known languages in the ship's database. Nothing matched exactly, but some patterns emerged. They seemed to be trying to communicate something about cycles and patterns, she explained to the others during a brief meeting. And this symbol keeps appearing. She showed them a circular design with lines radiating outward like a sun. I think it might represent the Krell themselves. So what do they want? Zara asked. Why preserve ships and crews instead of just destroying them? Ben frowned. More importantly, why release the Intrepid's signal now after 3 years? Doug looked up from a panel he was repairing. Maybe they wanted to catch more ships? Like using bait in a trap? Maybe, Olivia said. But the symbols inside the Intrepid were made by human hands. The crew was trying to understand what was happening to them. And your uncle told you to run, Ben added. He wanted to warn us. Or warn someone, Olivia said thoughtfully. What if the signal wasn't random? What if the Krell didn't activate it at all? The idea hung in the air. What if Captain Mason or his crew had somehow managed to activate the beacon themselves? What if they were more aware than they appeared? 7 days after their escape from the expanse, the Spectre limped back to Alliance space. Admiral Porter was waiting for them in a secure docking bay, her face showing both relief and eagerness for their report. You made it back, she said simply. I calculate that puts you about 91 percentage points above expectations. The team was immediately taken to a high-security debriefing room. For hours, they described everything they had seen, the ship graveyard, the preserved crews, the ancient Krell vessels and their narrow escape. Olivia presented her analysis of the ship's logs and the mysterious symbols. "I believe the Krell are studying us," she concluded. "They're preserving ships and crews like specimens in a collection." Admiral Porter listened carefully, asking occasional questions. When they finished, she was silent for a long moment. "This changes everything we thought we knew about the Expanse," she finally said. "But it also presents us with a difficult situation. The Alliance Council will never authorize a rescue mission based on this information. The risks are too great." "But there are people alive in there," Olivia protested. "My uncle, his crew, and who knows how many others from the other ships." "I understand your feelings, Cadet Mason," Porter said firmly. "But the Council will view the Krell as a potentially hostile advanced species. They'll strengthen the no-entry zone restrictions, not remove them." Ben spoke up. "With respect, Admiral, I agree with the Council's likely assessment. We barely escaped. A larger mission would almost certainly fail." Olivia looked at him in disbelief. "So we just leave them there?" "Sometimes that's the hard reality of command, Cadet," Ben said quietly. The meeting ended soon after. Admiral Porter ordered them all to remain silent about what they had discovered. The official report would state only that they had detected a signal that appeared to be an equipment malfunction, not evidence of survivors. Olivia couldn't accept this. That night, unable to sleep in her dormitory room, she quietly left and made her way to the Academy's linguistics lab. Using her cadet access code, she entered the empty facility and uploaded the symbols from the Intrepid to the main computer. She didn't hear Zara enter behind her. "I knew you'd do something like this," Zara said. Olivia jumped. "Are you going to report me?" Zara shook her head. "No, I'm going to help you." Surprised, Olivia asked. "Why?" "Because you were right in there," Zara replied. "We can't just abandon those people. Besides," she smiled slightly, "I want to figure out what's really going on in the Expanse, don't you?" For the next week, they worked in secret. During the day, they attended their regular academy classes. At night, they analyzed the symbols in the Intrepid's logs. Doug joined them after Zara brought him in, his engineering expertise proving valuable as they studied the Krell technology. "The energy field holding the ships isn't designed to harm," Doug explained, pointing to his analysis. "It's more like a preservation system. It slows down time inside the field." "That would explain why the crew is still alive after 3 years," Olivia said. Zara had been studying the navigation data. "I think I've identified a pattern in how the energy web is structured. There might be a way to move through it without getting caught." Their breakthrough came when Dr. Kelly Adams, a xenolinguistics expert, noticed them working late one night. Instead of reporting them, she became fascinated by the symbols. "These patterns are communication attempts," she confirmed after studying them. "But they're not just one way. See these responses?" She pointed to symbols that looked different from the others. "These weren't made by human hands. They're too precise, too perfectly formed." "The Krell were communicating back?" Olivia asked. Dr. Adams nodded. "I think so. And if I'm reading this correctly, they weren't hostile. They were curious. They wanted to understand. So it's not a trap," Doug said. "It's more like a first contact situation gone wrong." "The ships that fought back or tried to escape might have appeared threatening," Zara suggested, "but the ones that attempted communication were preserved intact." Olivia felt hope rising. "Which means if we approach correctly, we might be able to establish proper communication," Dr. Adams finished, "and possibly negotiate the release of the crews." Their unauthorized research was discovered 2 days later. Admiral Porter called them to her office, her expression stern. "You've directly disobeyed orders," she said. "I should expel all of you from the academy." "Admiral, please look at what we found," Olivia pleaded, pushing forward their analysis. "The Krell aren't hostile. They're trying to communicate." Porter studied their work for several minutes in silence. Then she looked up, her expression unreadable. "You realize that even if you're right, the Council still won't authorize a rescue mission," she said finally. The calculated survival odds would be less than 1%. Olivia met her gaze steadily. Then we'll just have to use the other 99% very effectively, won't we? For the first time, Admiral Porter smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. 2 weeks later, the Spectre once again approached the boundary of the Krell expanse. This time, the small stealth ship had been modified with additional equipment and carried a different crew. Olivia sat at the communication station, focused on the controls. Beside her, Dr. Kelly Adams monitored a newly installed translation system. Zara handled navigation, while Doug managed the engines. Lieutenant Ben Cole had been replaced by Admiral Porter herself, who insisted on leading this unauthorized mission. Everyone remember the plan, Porter said as they neared the boundary. We approach openly, broadcasting Dr. Adams' translation of the Krell symbols. We do not activate stealth systems. We want them to see us coming. Broadcasting makes me nervous, Doug admitted, adjusting the engine controls. Last time they nearly caught us in that energy web. Because last time we were sneaking around, Olivia replied. This time we're knocking on the front door and saying hello. Dr. Adams nodded. The symbols we compiled from the Intrepid suggest the Krell value direct communication. The crews that attempted to communicate were preserved intact. The Spectre crossed the boundary into the expanse. Unlike their previous entry, this time they traveled with external lights fully illuminated and a continuous message broadcasting on all frequencies. The message, carefully constructed from the symbols found on the Intrepid, translated roughly to, "We come to learn, not to take. We seek understanding and the return of our people." For several hours they moved deeper into the expanse with no response. The strange ripples in space around them were the only indication they were in unusual territory. Approaching the coordinates of the ship graveyard, Zara announced. As they drew closer, energy readings spiked on their sensors. The familiar blue glow appeared ahead, illuminating the field of suspended vessels. We're being scanned, Doug reported, tension in his voice. Hold position, Admiral Porter ordered. Continue broadcasting. Suddenly a corridor opened in the energy field, a clear path leading deeper into the graveyard. The blue light pulsed along this path, almost like an invitation. They're responding, Dr. Adams said, excitement in her voice. The pattern matches one of the symbol responses we found on the Intrepid. I think it means follow. Admiral Porter studied the open pathway. This is what we hoped for. Knight, take us in, slow and steady. The Spectre moved forward along the glowing path. They passed the familiar ships they had seen before, including the Intrepid, but continued beyond them toward the center of the graveyard. At the heart of the formation floated a structure unlike anything they had ever seen. Part space station, part living organism. Its surface rippled with the same blue energy that held the ships, and the strange symbols covered its exterior. It's beautiful, Olivia whispered. A beam of blue light extended from the structure, enveloping the Spectre. Unlike the energy web that had threatened to trap them before, this beam felt different, more like a handshake than a grasp. We're being guided to a docking port, Zara reported, as the ship moved without her input. Everyone stay calm, Porter said. Remember, we came here to communicate. The Spectre docked with the strange structure. The airlock cycled open, revealing a corridor bathed in soft blue light. Air readings showed it was safe to breathe. Ollie, go first, Porter said, removing her weapon and setting it aside. Adams, Mason with me, Knight and Rivera, maintain ship readiness. The three women stepped into the Krell structure. The corridor pulsed with light that seemed to guide them forward. The walls were covered with the now familiar symbols, but these moved and shifted as if alive. They entered a vast chamber where the blue light was brightest. In the center stood a figure, not solid, but formed from the same energy that permeated the structure. It shifted between various shapes, sometimes appearing humanoid, other times taking forms they couldn't comprehend. Dr. Adams activated her translation device. We come seeking understanding, she said, the device converting her words into the Krell symbolic language projected as light patterns. The energy being rippled then responded with its own patterns of light. The translator processed the response. You are the first to come willingly, the first to seek knowledge rather than escape. We want to understand why you've taken our ships and people, Admiral Porter said. Not taken, preserved, protected, until ready. Ready for what? Olivia asked. For this, the being replied. The chamber walls became transparent, revealing a stunning sight. Representatives from dozens of species working together in harmony, including humans in Alliance uniforms. Among them was Captain Nathan Mason. When he saw Olivia, he approached the transparent barrier, smiling broadly. The barrier rippled and dissolved, allowing him to step through. Uncle Nathan, Olivia breathed, hardly believing her eyes. He embraced her. I knew someone would figure it out eventually. I was hoping it would be you. What is this place? Admiral Porter asked. What's happening here? Captain Mason gestured to the bustling activity beyond. They weren't imprisoning us. They were protecting us until we were ready to understand. He explained that the Krell had evolved beyond physical form eons ago. They existed as energy beings within the fabric of space itself. What appeared to be a trap was actually a sanctuary and a classroom. The Krell have been watching various species throughout the galaxy, Nathan continued. They're ancient, caretakers, looking for civilizations ready to join a much larger community. The gateway they protect leads to a network connecting thousands of galaxies, he added, pointing to a swirling portal visible in the distance. But access requires more than technology. It requires understanding. Understanding what? Olivia asked. That cooperation yields more than competition. That communication matters more than conquest. That curiosity is more valuable than certainty. The Krell being pulsed with light again. The translator processed. Your ships entered our space. Most responded with fear or aggression. Those crews remain in stasis until they can accept new understanding. Some, like your relative, showed willingness to learn. They have joined our work. And what is that work? Admiral Porter asked. Preparing your species and others for greater connection, Nathan explained. The Alliance believes it's alone in this part of the galaxy, but there's a much larger community out there. The Krell being added. When your cadet asked what she would do with the remaining 98%, we recognized a mind open to new possibilities. This is why we allowed your return. Admiral Porter looked stunned. You heard that? From within the Academy? The Krell perception extends beyond our understanding, Nathan said. They've been watching humanity for generations, waiting for signs. We're ready for contact. After hours of discussion, the truth became clear. The trapped ships weren't prisoners but potential students. Those who resisted remained in stasis. Those who showed curiosity and cooperation were awakened to join a project far greater than Alliance exploration. When it was time to return to Alliance space, Admiral Porter faced a difficult choice. The Alliance Council won't believe this without proof, she said. And they certainly won't approve unregulated contact with an advanced species. Nathan nodded. That's why the Krell have remained hidden. But things are changing. More ships will find their way here as your technology advances. Better to prepare than to fear. Ultimately, they reached an agreement. Captain Mason and a few others would return with them to speak directly to the Council. The Krell would begin slowly releasing the preserved crews, starting with those most likely to accept the truth. As they prepared to depart, Olivia found herself alone with her uncle. For a moment, I'm proud of you, he said. When they gave you that 2% survival rating, you didn't give up. Olivia smiled. I just asked what I could do with the other 98%. And that question changed everything, Nathan replied. Sometimes the difference between possible and impossible is simply how you look at the problem. 6 months later, Olivia stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned Alliance diplomatic vessel Unity. As its captain, she led a crew of scientists and diplomats on humanity's first official mission to the Krell Sanctuary. Behind them, ships from a dozen Alliance worlds followed, each carrying people eager to learn about the greater galactic community. Zara, now her second in command, joined her at the viewport. "Ready for this, Captain Mason?" Olivia smiled, watching the shimmering boundary of the expanse grow larger ahead. "Ready or not, the universe doesn't wait. We can either hide from challenges or use them to become something greater." The ship's AI announced their status. Approach vector calculated. Mission success probability 86%. Olivia laughed. "And we'll do amazing things with the other 14%.